When you look at something as ordinary as a mango, it's easy to dismiss it as just another sweet fruit, pleasant, seasonal, and largely inconsequential. But that's a mistake, and it's the kind of mistake we make when we underestimate how intelligently the natural world organizes nourishment. A mango is not sugar dressed up in bright colors. It's a dense biological package, carefully structured to deliver what the human body repeatedly demands in order to function well. Start with vitamin A and beta-carotene, which are foundational for vision, immune defense, and cellular repair. These aren't cosmetic nutrients, they shape how effectively your body interprets reality at the most basic sensory level. Add to that vitamin C, which doesn't merely boost immunity in the casual sense, but actively supports collagen synthesis, wound repair, and the structural integrity of tissues. You begin to see a pattern emerge. Mangoes don't just energize you, they help maintain the framework that keeps you intact. Then there's the B vitamin profile, particularly B6 and folate, which plays a quiet but critical role in neurotransmitter production and energy metabolism. When people talk about feeling mentally foggy or chronically fatigued, they often overlook the biochemical foundations of those states. Mangoes supply nutrients that directly influence how efficiently your brain and nervous system operate, linking physical nourishment to psychological clarity. Potassium and magnesium further reinforce this relationship. These minerals regulate muscle contraction, nerve signaling, and cardiovascular rhythm. Without them, the system destabilizes. With them, there's coherence. And coherence, whether in physiology or psychology, is the difference between chaos and functional order. What's remarkable is that all of this comes packaged in something naturally sweet, satisfying, and deeply human in its appeal. The mango doesn't force discipline through deprivation. It invites it through nourishment. It rewards restraint with richness, not punishment. And that's worth thinking about, because health is rarely built through extremes. It's built through intelligent, repeatable choices, the kind you can actually sustain. When you choose foods that support your body at this fundamental level, you're not just eating better. You're aligning your daily actions with long-term stability. And the question that lingers is simple: if something so small can reinforce order in your body, what might happen if you let that principle guide more of your choices? If nutrition is the raw material of health, then digestion is the gatekeeper. You can consume all the right foods in the world, but if your body can't break them down, absorb them, and integrate them properly, the benefit is largely theoretical. This is where mangoes become far more interesting than their reputation suggests. They don't just add nutrients to the system, they help the system work better. Mangoes contain natural digestive enzymes, particularly amylases, which assist in breaking complex carbohydrates into simpler sugars that the body can actually use. That matters, because digestion is an energy-dependent process. When it's inefficient, it drains you. When it's supported, you feel lighter, clearer, and more stable. The body isn't fighting its own intake, it's cooperating with it. Fiber plays a crucial role here as well, and mangoes provide both soluble and insoluble forms. Soluble fiber slows digestion just enough to help regulate blood sugar, while insoluble fiber keeps the digestive tract moving efficiently. This balance is important. Too fast, and nutrients are lost. Too slow, and inflammation builds. Mangoes sit in that narrow, optimal middle ground, not by accident, but by design. Then there's the gut microbiome, which we're only beginning to understand properly. The bacteria in your digestive system influence far more than digestion. They affect immune regulation, mood stability, and even decision-making. Mango polyphenol act as prebiotics, selectively feeding beneficial bacteria while discouraging the kind of microbial chaos that contributes to chronic inflammation. In other words, mangoes help cultivate internal order. And internal order matters, because physiological chaos often expresses itself psychologically. People who struggle with unstable energy, cravings, or mood swings often aren't lacking willpower, they're dealing with a system that's out of balance. When digestion stabilizes, so does behavior. Hunger becomes clearer. Satiety becomes reliable. Impulses lose their edge. This is where metabolism enters the conversation. A well-functioning digestive system doesn't just process food, it communicates with hormones that regulate appetite and energy expenditure. Mangoes, when consumed intelligently and in appropriate portions, can support this dialogue rather than disrupt it. The deeper point is this. Discipline doesn't begin in the mind alone. It begins in the body. And when you support the mechanisms that create stability from the inside out, self-control becomes less of a battle and more of a byproduct of alignment. Once the body is properly fueled and the digestive system is functioning as it should, the conversation naturally shifts toward something broader and more consequential: longevity, resilience, and protection against slow, invisible damage. Most chronic diseases don't arrive dramatically. They emerge quietly, through years of accumulated inflammation and oxidative stress, the biological equivalent of neglect compounded over time. Mangoes enter this picture not as a cure, but as a consistent, protective influence. They contain a unique combination of antioxidants, most notably mangiferin, along with quercetin, catechins, and beta-carotene. These compounds don't operate in isolation. They work collectively to neutralize free radicals, stabilize cellular structures, and reduce inflammatory signaling. In practical terms, this means less wear and tear on blood vessels, neural tissue, and immune cells, the systems that quietly determine how long and how well you live. Inflammation, when acute, is a necessary survival mechanism. When chronic, it becomes destructive. It erodes cardiovascular health, disrupts insulin sensitivity, accelerates cognitive decline, and increases the risk of degenerative disease. What's dangerous about chronic inflammation is that you don't feel it happening until the damage is done. Mangoes help address this problem at the foundational level, by supplying compounds that modulate inflammation before it escalates into pathology. There's also a cognitive dimension here that's worth acknowledging. The brain is particularly vulnerable to oxidative stress, and long-term neurological health depends on stable blood flow, intact cell membranes, and efficient glucose regulation. By supporting cardiovascular function and reducing inflammatory burden, mangoes indirectly protect cognitive clarity and emotional regulation. Over time, this matters. Clarity compounds just as surely as chaos does. What's striking is how modest the intervention is. No extremes. No biohacks. Just a repeated choice to include foods that tilt the system toward repair rather than decay. That's the philosophy embedded in this discussion, that health is less about dramatic transformation and more about consistent alignment. You don't build a meaningful life through sudden, heroic gestures. You build it through habits that quietly reinforce stability, day after day. And when you choose foods that protect your body against its own slow erosion, you're making a statement. Not just about health, but about the kind of future you're willing to prepare for.